I've been a PC gamer for about 8 years now, and I usually play late at night after work. I'm into competitive shooters mostly, and I'm part of a regular squad that meets up online around 11 most nights. We use Discord to communicate, and we've been playing together for years. I thought I knew these guys pretty well. What happened 3 months ago made me completely rethink my setup, my security, and how careful I am about what I share online. It was a Tuesday night in late July. I'd gotten home from work around 6, ate dinner, and logged on around 10:30. My apartment is small, just a one-bedroom place on the 3rd floor of an older building. My gaming setup is in the corner of my bedroom, desk against the wall, dual monitors, good headphones with noise cancellation. I live alone, and I like it that way. It's quiet, I can game as late as I want, and I don't have to worry about bothering anyone. The building is pretty secure. You need a key fob to get in the front door, and there's a camera in the lobby. That night, 3 of us were online. Me, a guy named Jake from Colorado, and another guy named Marcus from somewhere in the Midwest. We'd been playing for about an hour, doing our usual thing, talking trash, coordinating strategies. Normal night. Around midnight, I heard something weird in my headphones. It sounded like breathing, but off rhythm from the game's sounds and my teammates' voices. I asked if anyone else heard it. Jake said no. Marcus said his mic might be acting up. We kept playing. A few minutes later, I heard it again. This time it was clearer. Someone breathing, slow and steady, like they were right next to me. I pulled off my headphones and listened. My apartment was silent. I could hear the hum of my PC, the distant sound of traffic outside, but nothing else. I put the headphones back on and told the guys I thought my audio was glitching. We laughed about it and kept playing. But then I heard something that made my blood run cold. A voice in my headphones, speaking quietly, said my real name, not my gaming tag, my actual first name. I froze. I asked who said that. Jake asked what I was talking about. Marcus said he didn't hear anything. I told them someone just said my name. They both said they didn't say anything, and there was no one else in our Discord channel. I checked the channel. It showed only 3 people, me, Jake, and Marcus. No one else was connected, but I'd heard it clearly. A male voice, unfamiliar, speaking just loud enough to be heard over the game audio. I muted my mic and took off my headphones again. I listened to my apartment. Nothing. I got up and checked my front door. It was locked, deadbolt engaged. I checked my bedroom closet, the bathroom, the kitchen. I was alone. I sat back down and put my headphones on. I told the guys I needed to take a break, that something weird was happening with my audio. They said sure, no problem. I muted Discord and closed the game. That's when I heard it again. With Discord muted and the game closed, I heard that same breathing in my headphones. Slow, steady, deliberate. I ripped the headphones off and looked at my PC. Nothing should have been producing audio. No applications were open except Discord, which was muted, but I'd heard it clearly. I restarted my computer, thinking maybe I had some malware or a virus. While it was restarting, I checked my phone. I had a notification from Discord, a friend request from someone with a blank profile picture and a username that was just a string of numbers. I'd never seen this account before. I declined the request and blocked the user. Then I noticed something else. This account had sent me a message before I blocked it. One word, headphones. My hands started shaking. I looked at my headphones sitting on my desk. They were just normal gaming headphones, wired, plugged into my PC. There was no way someone could be talking through them unless they had access to my computer. I ran a full virus scan. Nothing. I checked my Discord settings, my privacy settings, everything. Nothing seemed wrong. But someone had known my real name, had somehow communicated through my headphones, and had sent me that message. I didn't game that night. I unplugged my PC, unplugged my headphones, and spent the next hour changing all my passwords and enabling 2-factor authentication on everything. The next day, I checked my Discord account more carefully. I went through my entire friends list, every server I was in, every DM conversation. I was looking for anything that might explain how someone got my real name. Then I found it. 3 weeks earlier, I joined a new Discord server for my game. It was a community server, hundreds of people, dedicated to finding teammates and organizing matches. When I joined, I'd filled out a form in one of the channels. The form asked for your gaming tag, your rank, your availability, and your name. I'd put my real first name without thinking about it. Just my first name, not my last name, but still. It was there, publicly visible to anyone in that server. I left the server immediately, but the damage was done. Someone in that server had seen my name, had somehow gotten access to my Discord ID, and had found a way to mess with me. But that didn't explain the breathing. It didn't explain how they'd communicated through my headphones when Discord was muted. 2 days later, it happened again. I was gaming, different night, different game, solo this time. I wasn't in any voice channels. My mic was muted, and I heard it again, that same breathing, and then my name, whispered quietly. I checked everything again. No applications were running that shouldn't be. No one was connected to my Discord. My mic was muted and disabled in Windows settings, but I'd heard it. That's when I noticed something. My webcam light was on. The little LED next to my webcam was glowing green, but I didn't have any applications open that should be using my camera. I immediately covered the webcam with tape and checked my task manager. There was a process running that I didn't recognize. I Googled it. It was a remote access tool, a program that lets someone control your computer from another location. Someone had installed it on my PC. I don't know how or when, but it was there. They'd been watching me through my webcam. They'd been listening through my microphone. And they'd figured out how to play audio through my headphones, even when my normal applications were muted. I wiped my entire computer. Full format, fresh Windows install. I changed every password again. I enabled every security feature I could find. I bought a webcam cover. And I never joined another public Discord server. I reported the account to Discord, but they said they couldn't do anything without more evidence. The account had already been deleted anyway. Whoever it was, they were gone. But for weeks afterward, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching. Every time I'd put on my headphones, I'd feel this anxiety, this sense that I wasn't alone. I started gaming with my door locked and my webcam unplugged. I told Jake and Marcus what happened. Jake said something similar had happened to a friend of his, someone who'd joined a sketchy Discord server and ended up with malware. Marcus said I should report it to the police, but I didn't have enough information. I didn't know who did it, how they did it, or what they wanted. I still game, but I'm much more careful now. I don't use my real name anywhere online. I don't join public servers. I keep my webcam covered and unplugged unless I'm actively using it. And I never, ever game with my headphones on if I'm the only one home and it's late at night. Because I know now that when you're wearing noise-canceling headphones, sitting in a dark room, focused on a screen, you have no idea what's happening around you. You can't hear someone trying your door. You can't hear footsteps in your hallway. You can't hear anything except what's coming through those speakers. And sometimes, what's coming through those speakers isn't what you think it is. I'm a streamer, nothing huge, maybe 200 regular viewers on a good night, but it's something I enjoy doing. I stream mostly survival horror games and some indie titles. I'd been streaming for about 2 years when this happened, and I thought I'd been pretty careful about keeping my personal information private. I never showed my face on stream. I used a voice changer sometimes, though not always. I never mentioned where I lived beyond somewhere on the East Coast. I didn't link any of my social media to my streaming account. I thought I was safe. I was wrong. It started in October of last year. I'd been streaming a new horror game, something about exploring an abandoned facility. The chat was active that night. Lots of regular viewers, some new people, good energy overall. About an hour into the stream, someone new joined the chat. Their username was something generic, just a random combination of letters and numbers. They didn't say anything at first, just lurked. But then, right as I was going through a particularly tense section of the game, they sent a message. It said, "You should check your front door." I laughed it off. I get weird messages sometimes, people trying to be creepy because I'm playing horror games. It's part of the streaming experience. I made a joke about it and kept playing. But then they sent another message. I'm not joking. Check your front door. Other people in chat started telling them to chill out, that they were being weird. I ignored it and focused on the game. But something about the message bothered me. The specificity of it. Not check your window or someone's behind you, but check your front door. I finished the section I was in and told chat I was taking a quick break. I muted my mic and got up from my desk. My streaming setup is in my living room, and my front door is maybe 15 feet away. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. No one was there. The hallway outside my apartment was empty. I unlocked the door and opened it. Slightly. Looked both ways. Still nothing. I went back to my desk and unmuted my mic. I told chat there was nothing at the door, that whoever sent that message was just messing around. The user sent another message. Check under your doormat. My stomach dropped. I have a doormat outside my door. It's a standard apartment building. Everyone has one. But the fact that this person knew I had a doormat made me uncomfortable. I muted my mic again and went back to the door. I opened it and looked down. I flipped up the corner of the doormat. There was a piece of paper underneath it, a small folded note. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. I brought it inside, locked the door, and unfolded it. It was a single sentence, handwritten. I like your streams. I felt sick. Someone had been to my apartment. Someone knew where I lived. They'd been standing right outside my door, close enough to slip a note under my doormat. I ended the stream immediately. I told chat I wasn't feeling well and needed to stop early. I didn't explain what happened. I just shut everything down and sat there, staring at the note. I should have called the police right then, but I didn't know what to tell them. Someone left a note. It wasn't threatening. It didn't say anything scary, just that they liked my streams. The police would probably think I was overreacting, but I knew it was wrong. This person had found my address, had come to my building, had stood outside my door. That wasn't normal fan behavior. That was stalking. I checked my apartment building's security. We have a camera in the lobby, but not in the hallways. I asked the building manager if I could see the lobby footage from that evening. He said I'd need to file a police report first, so I called the non-emergency police line and explained what happened. They sent an officer over. He took the note, took my statement, and said they'd look into it. He asked if I'd received any other threats or messages. I said no, just this. He told me to be careful about what I share online, to maybe take a break from streaming for a while. He said they'd check the building's camera footage and see if anyone suspicious had entered around the time I was streaming. A few days later, they called me back. They'd found something on the camera. A person had entered the building around the time of my stream, someone the building manager didn't recognize. They were wearing a hoodie and kept their head down, so their face wasn't clearly visible. They'd gone up to the third floor, my floor, and come back down about 10 minutes later. The police said there wasn't much they could do. The person hadn't broken any laws by entering the building. The note wasn't threatening. Unless something else happened, there wasn't grounds for any action. I was terrified. I started keeping my door locked at all times. I checked the peephole constantly. I stopped streaming for 2 weeks. But then the messages started. Direct messages on my streaming platform, all from different throwaway accounts. They all said similar things. Comments about my streams. Details about my apartment building. Things like, I saw your neighbor today. Or, the lobby looks different with the new decorations. I reported every account. They all got banned. But new ones kept appearing. The person was creating fresh accounts, just to message me, to let me know they were still watching. I contacted the streaming platform's support team. They said they'd look into it, but there wasn't much they could do if the person kept making new accounts. They suggested I disable direct messages from non-followers, which I did. Then the person showed up in my streams again. Different username, but I could tell it was them by the way they typed. They'd make comments that only someone who'd been to my building would know. Things about the layout, the color of the hallway walls, the type of locks on the doors. I started moderating my chat more heavily, banning anyone who said anything remotely suspicious, but they kept coming back with new accounts. After about a month of this, I made a decision. I was going to move. I'd been in that apartment for 3 years, and I liked it, but I didn't feel safe anymore. I couldn't sleep knowing that someone out there knew exactly where I lived and was watching me. I found a new place across town, a building with better security. I didn't tell anyone online that I was moving. I didn't mention it on stream, didn't post about it anywhere. I just quietly packed up and left. For about 2 months, everything was fine. No more weird messages, no more notes. I started streaming again, cautiously, from my new place. I was even more careful about privacy this time. I made sure nothing in my stream background could identify my location. Then, 3 weeks ago, I got another message from a new account with a new username. It said, "Nice new place. I haven't streamed since. I've thought about quitting entirely, but streaming is a big part of my income. I don't know what to do. I've talked to a lawyer about getting a restraining order, but they said I'd need to know the person's identity first. I've talked to the police again, but they say without a direct threat, there's nothing they can do. So now I just wait. I keep my doors locked. I check my surroundings constantly. I've installed extra locks and a security camera outside my door. I'm looking into moving again, maybe to a different city entirely, because I know this person is still out there. They've found me twice now. They know what I look like, where I live, probably where I work, and I have no idea who they are or what they want. All I know is that they like my streams, and that terrifies me more than any horror game ever could. I'm a software developer, and I build my own gaming PCs. I know my way around hardware and software. I know how to keep my system clean, and I'm careful about what I install. So, when something showed up on my computer that I didn't put there, I knew something was seriously wrong. This happened about 4 months ago. I'd just built a new PC, fresh components, clean Windows install. I'd spent 2 days setting everything up exactly how I wanted it. Installing my games, my work software, getting everything configured. I have a routine when I build a new system. I keep a list of everything I install, with download links and version numbers. It's a habit from my job. Documentation is important, so I know exactly what was on that computer. About a week after I finished the build, I was going through my Steam library deciding what to play. That's when I noticed something weird. There was a game in my library that I didn't remember installing. The icon was just a black square, and the name was a string of characters that looked like corrupted text. I clicked on it, thinking maybe it was a display bug. The game launched. No loading screen, no intro, just straight into gameplay. It looked like a first-person exploration game, but the graphics were off. Everything was too dark, too grainy. The environment looked like an abandoned building. Concrete walls, flickering lights. There was no UI, no health bar, no inventory, nothing. I tried pressing the usual keys. Was to move, which worked. Mouse to look around, which worked. But nothing else did anything. No menu, no options, no way to exit except Alt F4. I walked through the building for a few minutes. It was eerily well detailed for something I didn't remember installing. The textures were high quality, the lighting was actually pretty good, but there was no sound. Complete silence, except for my footsteps. Then I turned a corner and saw something that made me stop. On one of the walls, written in what looked like spray paint, was text. It said, "You shouldn't be here." I stood there for a moment, staring at it. Then I heard something. A sound. Finally. Footsteps, but not mine. They were coming from somewhere behind me, getting closer. I turned around. The hallway I'd just walked through was empty. But the footsteps continued, growing louder. I walked back the way I'd come, trying to find the source of the sound. But the building's layout had changed. The hallways were different. Doors that had been closed were now open. Rooms I'd passed were gone. I found another message on a wall. "How did you find this?" The footsteps were right behind me now. I spun around, and for just a split second, I saw something. A figure, humanoid but distorted, standing at the end of the hallway. Then the screen went black. The game had closed itself. I was back at my desktop. I immediately checked my Steam library. The game was gone. No icon, no listing, like it had never been there. I checked my installation folder. Nothing. No files, no directory, no trace that the game had ever existed. I ran a full system scan. Nothing. No malware, no viruses, nothing suspicious. But I knew what I'd seen. I'd played that game. It had been on my computer. I checked my Steam download history. There was no record of downloading any game in the past week. I checked my account activity log. No suspicious logins, no changes, nothing. Then I checked my firewall logs. That's when I found something. There had been outbound connections from my PC to an IP address I didn't recognize. Multiple connections over the past 3 days, all during times when I'd been away from my computer. I looked up the IP address. It resolved to a server location in Eastern Europe somewhere. No other information was publicly available. I blocked the IP in my firewall and changed all my passwords. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. That night, I left my computer on while I went to sleep. I have a program that logs system activity, something I use for work sometimes. I wanted to see if anything happened while I wasn't using it. The next morning, I checked the logs. At 3:47 a.m., something had launched. The log showed a process starting with that same corrupted text name as the game. It had run for 11 minutes, then closed itself. I hadn't been at my computer. I'd been asleep in the next room. Something had launched that game on its own. I wiped the drive that day. Complete format, nothing saved. I reinstalled Windows from scratch, using a fresh download from Microsoft's website. I changed every password again. I enabled every security feature I could find. For 2 weeks, everything seemed fine. No strange games appearing, no suspicious network activity, no processes launching on their own. Then I made a mistake. I was browsing a forum for PC gamers, reading about new hardware releases. Someone had posted a link to what they claimed was a leaked beta for an upcoming horror game. The link looked legitimate, hosted on a file-sharing site I'd used before. I almost clicked it. My cursor was hovering over the link, but something made me check the URL first. It was the same IP address, the one from my firewall logs. The server in Eastern Europe. Someone on that forum had posted a link directly to whatever had infected my computer. And looking at the thread, 3 other people had already downloaded it. I reported the post immediately. I sent messages to the people who'd commented saying they'd downloaded it. I warned them to wipe their drives, to check their systems. One person responded. They said they'd played the game, that it was weird but they thought it was just an art project or an ARG. They said it had deleted itself after they finished playing. I told them to check their system logs, to look for network connections. They did. Same result as me. Outbound connections to that IP address. Processes launching on their own in the middle of the night. They wiped their drive too. But here's what bothers me. The other 2 people who downloaded it never responded. Their accounts on the forum went inactive. Their last posts were saying they were going to try the game. I don't know what that game was. I don't know who made it or why. I don't know what it was doing when it launched itself in the middle of the night, or what data it was sending to that server. All I know is that it was designed to look like something you'd want to play. It was convincing enough that multiple people downloaded it, and once it was on your computer, it didn't need you anymore. It would run on its own, do whatever it was designed to do, and you'd never know unless you were specifically looking for it. I still build PCs. I still game, but I'm paranoid now. I check my system logs every day. I monitor my network traffic. I don't download anything unless I'm absolutely sure where it came from, because I learned that your computer can do things without you. Programs can run while you sleep. Data can be sent while you're away. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing isn't what you intentionally install. It's what installs itself.